He looked kind of cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Action shot.
Hello, foodies, foragers, and fungophiles. Today's video is all about the medicinal mushroom chaga. Chaga grows mainly on white birch in the northwest United States and on yellow birch in the northeast United States. It is a cold climate mushroom, mainly above 40 degrees latitude in the northern hemisphere. In my area, there are 3 trees that look pretty similar, and one of the first steps you have to do is learn how to identify these different trees. There's aspen, white birch, and black cottonwood. And in the wintertime, and even when the leaves are out, they can look really similar depending how old the tree is. The white birch, or paper birch, will always have this kind of papery bark that was used by Native Americans for canoe building, parfleche containers, all kinds of different things for fiber and for kind of a clothing material. And as always, when you're traipsing around in the woods, you never know what else you might find. Found a little sassy pine marten hanging out in the birch trees. A unique thing about chaga hunting is you can do it in the wintertime. There's less leaves on the trees, you can see further, and you can use binoculars and take buddies with you and try and find them, and then you can come back and get them at other times of the year when their access is easier. Chaga is a growth. You want to get it from live trees, and you always want to get it from the white birch or yellow birch. Other tree species may grow chaga, but they won't have the medicinal properties. Find them in the winter, save the location, and then you can come back at any time of the year to harvest your chaga or harvest part of it. In my experience, it actually comes off the tree easier May, June, and it has a much more lively smell. If you are harvesting in really cold weather, sub-freezing, you want to be careful to not cut into the wood of the tree much. You also want to find the ones that are at a lower level, like this one. The other one I found that day was pretty high. You can come back with a paint pole and maybe a limb saw and get it, but it can be challenging if they're up high, and some you just may have to let go. They may be too high. I generally cut about 1/3 of one to a half, the ones that are in my neighborhood that I can visit more readily over the years. You also want to take them off of living, healthy trees. I have seen dead trees with chaga growing on them, and chaga may be the cause of the death of the tree. The outer bits are usually black and kind of crumbly, and then the innermost part that's against the wood of the tree will be softer, and you can see the mycelium and see that it is a mushroom. Chaga has been used for centuries in Siberia, often used by the shaman of those areas for healing purposes, general maladies, and all kinds of healing teas. And in Russia, of course, and Siberia, there's a long history of this. Nowadays, there's zillions of products, of course. Past 10 years has kind of been a chaga rodeo all over the world. And of course, many, many products are available. Though usually they're all ground up, and of course, it's really nice to harvest your own. My instincts as a forager would tell me that fresh harvested specimens would have the most medicinal properties. There have been many studies from China, Korea, Russia of anti-tumor, antioxidant, anti-mutagenic, antiviral properties of chaga mushroom. And the data looks pretty good, but of course, it wouldn't be wise to say it heals disease. So when you get the chaga home, you want to find a way to cut it up into little bits about the size of coffee beans. I've used this kind of bolt cutter. I've used rose trimmers, but sir, be really, really careful, because something that it's so hard, it could actually cut your finger off if you were being reckless. Once you get it in a kind of coffee-sized bits, put it in your coffee grinder and get it about the grind of the kind of coffee you like, because you're going to put it in water and give it several changes of water. You get a lot out of it. The dark liquid keeps coming out of the chaga ground up for, I'd say, a good at least 3 to 4 pots, depending on how big a pot you make. Some people make really big pots and keep it around for like a week. I like to make smaller pots. kind of keep it fresh and maybe flavor it in different ways. Though I like the flavor of it. It doesn't really have a lot of smell or taste. To me, it reminds me of old paper, old books, which is a smell often you get in wines. I call it old book Tomy. This batch I had some white bark pine cones that I had used after making white bark pine syrup and had it in the freezer. I put a couple of them in there to flavor it, and it was delicious. It's probably the best tea I've ever made with it. There was enough sugar still in those little cones to give it a little bit of sweetness, and the pine taste, kind of tangerine pine taste, really complemented the chaga. I also melted snow, getting that pure water in there, and it's quite drinkable. I like it. You want to find some way to strain it. I have these wine strainers I use for my wine making. You can't use coffee filters because it will plug them up. So it needs to be something that more like a sieve, a strainer, and there may be a little bit of pieces in it, but again, it doesn't taste bad. I just eat them or drink them. You can also cool it down, put it in the fridge, and drink it cold, or just take a few swallows a day if you like. Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching, and if you're lucky enough to live around birch trees, go chaga picking.